Namaste. So, regarding the question that Sri Aurobindo chose these three poems, Love and Death, and Urvasie, and Savitri. There is also a poem in between which is Ulupi, but Ulupi is a different kind of love where love gives freedom. But these are the three love poems where there is some kind of a victory of love. So if you see, the theme is victory of love, which means a union which will last forever. Love seeks union, Sri Aurobindo describes in the synthesis, intensity of union and the eternity of union. Now, the problem of earth is that you can't have both. You can have intensity for a moment or few moments or maybe few months at the most, or maybe a couple of years. But after that, you see that the intensity begins to fade. So, intensity doesn't last. So, if you have intensity, you lose eternity. And if you go towards eternity, people can live together, but the intensity is gone. So, this is the big challenge of human life. Because why it happens? Because we are limited containers. So unless you are open to infinity and eternity, you can't have eternity in anything. You must open to infinity. Your love will be limited. It is always tinted by, I have loved you so much, what have you done for me? Have you ever done anything for me? Have you returned? So human love will invariably after a time fade away. So that is a normal human love. Not talking of the worst forms where there is devouring, which I have already mentioned. The worst form of love is where you unite by devouring the person. Where you finish the other person, either maim the other person like completely dependent, where the person is finished. Or you swallow and finish the personality, crush the personality. So both these are, of course, not a they are very low forms of love, or an animal love, which is only for whatever sexual attraction and then having a progeny. But there is human love, which is about care, affection, and but now Sri Aurobindo says, what next? Human love also ultimately fades away. So he gives three possibilities. One is like Ruru. You can have on earth a love which is celestial. It will have a term, no doubt. But you will earn it only by the law of sacrifice. You cannot have it just by wishful thinking. That's the theme of Ruru. That ultimately the God of love tells him. He comes there and says, you can have Pramadvara. But this anguish, tears, all these gods don't understand. They don't care. They don't cry. They don't understand why human beings are sad. Because they say, what is there if a form is broken? What is there to feel so bad about it? So they don't understand this. So they will understand sacrifice. So if you go there, and so that means that the law of love on earth, to have this love beautifully together, though with a term, at the end when the bodies die, is only through the law of sacrifice. Many people don't understand this. They want, but they do not want to give. The mother puts it very simply, sacrifice speaks about self-giving. So if there is no self-giving, if there is no sense of sacrifice, also is purifying it constantly. If love remains only at that level of the animal vital nature, it will finish off. So it must evolve. So sacrifice in Ruru's story involves two things. One is that he sacrifices half his life, meaning thereby we'll walk together, it doesn't matter. I don't want to go ahead and storm ahead like a rishi. I will walk with you. So he sacrifices half his life. Meaning thereby all the experience that he would have had he gone alone and stormed ahead. So he sacrifices. So here in Ruru's story, he sacrifices his pace, that's why mother says the secret of lasting union, to walk together at the same pace, around the central aspiration. So there's the sacrifice. And the sacrifice involves another thing, it's the purification. So who sacrifices? The one who can run faster. It's understood. In love, it will always be like that. One person will sacrifice. On the other hand, it's also the uplifting of the other person. So there is a purification. So sacrifice involves both the things. Person who is ahead comes down. Sri Aurobindo speaks of it in one of the, Guru student Samvadini Shavasya Upanishad. He says, whence comes that love which can go down from an infinite source down to somebody far inferior? Can you think of somebody's love? I can only think of Sri Aurobindo and Mrilani Devi. So what happens through that sacrifice? This sacrifice is a double connotation in Ruru's story also. There is a sacrifice of a being who is on the heights for somebody who is far below. But the being below is uplifted. This is also indicated in the story of Vikram Urvashi, by the way. The two will meet, but both have to sacrifice something. The celestial being, Urvashi, sacrifices her heavenly joys. And Pururavas sacrifices his earthly task. So there is a sacrifice involved in this also. So the law of love is the law of sacrifice. Sacrifice is anyways the law of life. But here the sacrifice is of this nature, that one sacrifices the heights where one was moving alone, and the second in the process purifies. Sacrifice here for the other person who receives such a love is purifies the energies and lifts up. If that can happen, then love will stay. If the other person drags down the higher person only into the abyss through whatever human love is prone to, then it won't last. Because you cannot have, this is the law of evolution. So love must evolve. So these two stories, one is about we are not talking now about just the human love as it is ordinarily experienced. That Sri Aurobindo speaks of in, death speaks of that. And Savitri says, yes, I know. Those are hunger of the flesh, heart's hunger for affection, wanting these things, even a mental companionship. These are human loves. But love which can have the touch of the divine on our mortal days. In Ruru's story, sacrifice, where the greater being sacrifices and the lower being who is below, not the lower being, but the being who is inferior, uplifts through purification. That love will last. The second is again the same thought, but in a slightly different way. It won't be on earth. You will live happily thereafter, because in Ruru Pramadvara's story, they don't live happily forever till their body's death. That's what. So it has a term. But if you don't want it to have a term, then you have to go to heavens. So in Vikram Urvashi's tale, or Pururavas and Urvashi's tale, you don't have a term. In Ruru and Pramadvara stories, you live happily hereafter until death parts you. But in Vikram Urvashi, there is the going beyond into, can we have Savitri's last few pages? In Vikram Urvashi's stories, epilogue, our parting was a dream. So in Vikram Urvashi's story, we have the love which is in Pururavas and Urvashi's. Vikram Urvashi is the play by Kalidas. You have the eternity of love and the intensity of love, but not upon earth. It's denied. You can have it there. And he sacrifices earth. You have to sacrifice something. So he sacrifices earth, he sacrifices his mission. He's not blamed for that. But it's like the Divine Mother says, this is not the complete victory. This is not befitting of my child. Yet because you have done so much, your Aryan races will come. Okay? That in Savitri's story, it is something still greater. Savitri brings back Satyavan without losing anything of the human joy. And this is what we will read. Yes. She says, when Satyavan asks, that where have you got me back? A captive. Whence hast thou brought me captive back? Love chained to thee and sunlight's walls, O golden beam and casket of all sweetness, Savitri, Godhead and woman, moonlight of my soul. For surely I have travelled in strange worlds, by thee companioned, a pursuing spirit. So when he says all this, she says, but she replied, our parting was the dream. You see, this is the beauty, that even if the earthly, there is a parting of the body, still there is a togetherness and return. This is what is there in Savitri Satyavan stories. Until a day comes when you are forever together, even earthly life, of course, changes. But there is nothing like parting, whether in earth or heaven or the return. There is something amazing beyond. Our parting was the dream. We are together. We live, O Satyavan. Now you see, this is different from parting is the truth. And coming together is Char Din Ki Chandni. That's how we earthly beings are tuned to think. Our parting was the dream. We are together. We live. O Satyavan, look around thee and behold, glad and unchanged, our home, this forest with its thousand cries and the whisper of the wind among the leaves. And then she further down. All now is changed, yet all is still the same. This way we have that heaven's touch should not cancel this earth. This is the ultimate victory. But you have to go. You can't say, okay, I'll remain what I am, and it's not like a wish fulfilling kalpataru. It won't happen like that. The process and the law of sacrifice is there. Sri Aurobindo says in one of the letters, because we value love and friendship, and we don't want to see it broken at every step, that we insist so much upon the psychic change. Because without that basis, it is bound to suffer. All now is changed, yet all is still the same. Lo, we have looked upon the face of God. Our life has opened with divinity. We have borne identity with the Supreme and known His meaning in our mortal lives. See, Purravas loses the meaning. And known His meaning in our mortal lives. Our love has grown greater by that mighty touch and learned its heavenly significance. So it was not just for personal happiness. So its heavenly significance. Yet nothing is lost of mortal love's delight. Mark these lines. Heaven's touch fulfills but cancels not our earth's. It does not cancel the earthly joy. It fulfills it. And that's what I say, we have the original thing in Mother and Sri Aurobindo's life. Our parting was a dream. And see how the two together, the way she looked after everything. She was like as if I am born to fulfill the dreams of the Lord. And the Lord on his side, all the time behind her. Even to the extent that he did not even care for his own safety. And subjected himself to all the hostiles that they came to him. And to safeguard her. Withdraws from the body. No, you have to fulfill the yoga of transformation. If you look at just Sri Aurobindo and the mother's life as a divine story of love, it is something amazing. How she would care even for the smallest detail. Even after the physical withdrawals, she continued to care. And there are so many stories, experiences which I don't want to recount here because, they are even partly sad about how those in his service were not caring about him. That's what heaven's touch fulfills but cancels not our earth. She further says, our bodies need each other in the same last. It's love of embodied beings. It's not just our souls need each other. Body ka kya hai? Mitti mein chala jayega. We have heard so much about it, no? This dust contains particles of gold. It must be transmuted into that. So look at this line. Our bodies need each other in the same last. Still in our breasts, repeat heavenly secret rhythm. Our human heartbeats passionately close. Still am I she who came to thee mid the murmur of sunlit leaves upon this forest verge. I am the Madran, I am Savitri. Says, don't think I am a goddess. I am the Madran, I am Savitri. All that I was before, I am to thee still. I have brought you, but I am like your, I'll take care of you, serve you, because that's what I am. I have come to you as that. Look at the greatness. She is a divine mother herself. But how she, when she becomes human, service and all the common acts of love, that's the sign of a great beings. Close comrade of thy thoughts and hopes and toils, all happy contraries I would join for thee. All sweet relations marry in our life. I am thy kingdom, even as thou art mine. So you see the sense of possessiveness changes into this. I am your kingdom and you are my kingdom. The sovereign and the slave of thy desire. Can you find bolder lines than this? And they come in the epilogue of Savitri. The prone possessor, sister of thy soul. Can you imagine the Lord? And they come in the epilogue toward the end. That's why Savitri is the ultimate truth. The prone possessor, I possess you. And I am also the sister of your soul. Why? Because we are twins born forever for this work. And mother of thy wants, thou art my world. The earth I need, the heaven my thoughts desire, the world I inhabit and the God I adore. Who? Satyavan. That's how he says to death. No, he says, oh, you go there and meet. He says, if I have seen God smile at me in Satyavan, if God has to come, let him wear first his face. What heights he has taken human love to. And she says, what she is to Satyavan and what Satyavan is to her. Thy prone possessor, sister of thy soul. You know what is prone and supine? Prone and supine, that's how it is. So, prone possessor, you are, I hold you fully. The giver, prone possessor is one who keeps giving. So that's how the word prone comes in this sense, not in the figurative sense of a body, but prone possessor is somebody who will always give you. So the prone possessor, actually there is a whole, how we learned the sense of this prone and supine was, a priest pronates, a beggar supinates. So prone is somebody who gives. And supine is somebody who receives. So say, I will possess you, but I'll always give. This possession is not that you will give me. I expect nothing from you. I am the one who will give. And by giving, I possess you. But thy prone possessor, sister of thy soul. But don't think I will assume a superior position that, I am the giver. No, I am also your sister because we are twin, one flame. And mother of thy wants, whatever you want. Thou art my world. The earth I need, the heaven my thoughts desire, the world I inhabit and the God I adore. Can you imagine anything bolder and higher? Ultimately, see, this is the whole thing. The supreme manifesting in the human Leela. Otherwise, there is no manifestation. Then it's all, all there in the temple or, find inside and be done with. Then, after all, why this world and the Leela? There is no meaning in it. Sri Aurobindo says at one place, souls of the strong, and what he would want when the happiest girl, happiest boy, and the strongest girl, mind you, in the crowd, Krishna and Kali, when I have come to call them to the Leela, that is the new world. Thy body is my body's counterpart. Even there is oneness at the most physical level. Thy body is my body's counterpart, whose every limb my answering limb desires, whose heart is key to all my heartbeats. This I am, and thou to me, O Satyavan. Our wedded walk through life begins anew. No gladness lost, no depth of mortal joy. Now they are re-wedded in the light and start their life again. Let us go through this new world that is the same, for it is given back. But it is known, a playing ground and dwelling house of God. Now this world is this playground and a dwelling house of God. No more they are afraid of it. Who hides himself in bird and beast and man, sweetly to find himself again by love. What is love? God finding himself in another form. How beautiful this is. By oneness, his presence leads the rhythms of life that seek for mutual joy in spite of pain. We have each other found. O Satyavan, in the great light of the discovered soul, let us go back, for eve is in the skies. Now grief is dead and serene bliss remains, the heart of all our days forever, evermore. And last says, let us go upon the ignorant breast of dubious earth into the ways of laboring, seeking men. Two fires that burn towards that parent sun. See the fire image and the aspiration. That's the truth of marriage. Two rays that travel to the original light. Where is all this, marriage, how many is salaried and all this in India? I feel really, when I read all this is what marriage has come to. What is the salary of the boy? How beautiful the girl is looking? Is she also working? Can she cook? All this is no relevance at all. At the end, it is, you're buying a cooking pot and a, housemaid. But you do with joy. That's what she says. I am here to do everything for you. She closed her arms about his breast and head as if to keep him on her bosom worn forever through the journeying of the years. So you see, this is the fate ultimately that Sri Aurobindo is not only foreseen but woven for man. But our fate is not like Ruru and Pramadvara. For a termlessly we must love. Termlessly we must have the joy of life, the joy of love, the beauty. It should all be termless. Not even like Pururavas, that we abandon earth for some heavenly joy. But like Savitri and Satyavan, one day that divine love will manifest in embodied human beings. It's an embodied love, not a disembodied spiritual love. But now for labor and work. Namaste.